Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I am so excited about today's training. I'm over here live on Facebook. I'm live on Instagram, and we are going to get started. So today we are going to be talking about your website. We're going to talk about, what information it should include, how to make sure it's formatted to bring in leads for you. And we're also going to talk about how you can start getting found on Google. So if you have any questions, be sure to ask. If I don't get to it right away, just hang tight. I will as soon as possible. But if you are here and you are watching, be sure to say hello so I can know that you're here with us. But let's go ahead and dive right into our training today on your website. So the first part that we are going to talk about today is some of the information that needs to be on your site. So let's talk about your buyer page. So we're just going to start with the buyers. We're going to work down my list. And like I said, if you have questions, drop them below. Okay, so on your buyer resource page, you want to make sure you have on there how you can help them. Definitely include information about what sets you apart. So what makes you special as an agent, and how do you help your buyers as they're looking for their new home. You want to include information on the steps or the process that they need to follow when it comes to purchasing a new home. So maybe break down, the pre-approval process. I know a lot of the agents that I work with, they have their clients make a list of things that they want in the new home. So maybe include some information about that. You also want to talk about your role as an agent and kind of where you step in and what you're allowed to do, what you aren't allowed to do as an agent, and just try to answer any questions up front about, just buying a home. You're also going to want to make a list of maybe questions that they should ask when they're searching for an agent. It may be a situation where you have a client that you are going to help sell the home, but they need to be referred out somewhere else. So you want to make sure that they know that you're there to support them no matter what. So you may include some questions that they should ask when they are interviewing agents. On your seller side, it's going to be a lot of very similar information, how you help them as a seller's agent. Again, what sets you apart. You're going to want to include some of your marketing initiatives. So I've worked with agents from Keller Williams. I've worked with agents from Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Remax. So you want to make sure that you have in there maybe some of the special marketing initiatives that your brokerage offers, but also think about the ways that you help them. What's something that you may offer that maybe other agents even within your brokerage doesn't offer. Walk them through how to, you price the home. Again, you want to touch on a little bit of what is your role as a seller's agent, and maybe some questions to ask as they are interviewing different real estate, questions that they should ask as they're interviewing different real estate agents. So a lot of that's a lot of common sense that you may or may not have known, but I always want to make sure I include it as we are talking about what's on your website. Now we're going to dive into your community pages. And if you don't have community pages on your website, that's going to be something that you're going to want to include very soon, because it tells people where you service. And these are the pages that are great ways to start getting ranked because you can go a little bit more focused on the areas. So as you're planning out your community pages, there are three main topics that you're going to want to cover. You're going to want to cover things to do. So, think about some different places that they should go check out, whether, just like bowling or axe throwing. I know I'm in the North Dallas area, not far from Plano, and they have a zip line or a ropes course. Ropes zip lining course over there. So maybe, just think about some of those activities that a lot of people don't know about and include those on your community pages. Absolutely break down the school district information and include as much information on there, because we know that that plays a big part of where people move to. Even for the families that don't have children, whether they're planning or they don't have them yet, or they aren't planning to have children, school district is a very big factor in where people move, because it helps with the resale value. So you want to include school district information on there. Get on the school district website, do a little bit of research, break down how big it is, maybe include some different awards that they have won. But you want to make sure that school district information is on your community pages. You also want to include some different stats. So, maybe different crime stats, the population, what the property taxes are there. So any information that you can include, just surrounding that community, you're going to want to include on this community page. Typically community pages, you're going to, depending on how large the area is, you're probably going to get it somewhere between 500 to 1,000 words. And as you're planning these out, they can go a couple of different ways. So if you, for example, work in Dallas, Dallas is really big. And if you really stop and think about it, there are different areas or communities even within Dallas. So you have, uh, East Dallas, you have Deep Ellum, you have the Bishop Arts District, you have North Dallas, you have Far North Dallas. So you may even break those out a little bit and focus on a few smaller communities within the larger ones if you do work the big cities. But when you are doing some of the smaller suburbs, you can typically stay within that one suburb. You can even go down all the way to your master plan communities. So I actually had the opportunity to work with a client who works with a lot of master plan communities up in the Collin County area of Texas. And we were able to come up with a lot of information on those master plan communities. So that may be a route you go as well. Now, as you want to focus on just neighborhoods, it's going to be a lot harder to get close to that, 500 or so words, but it is possible. It just may take a little bit more research and a little bit more even just going over to those areas and writing about what makes those areas special, but it can be done. Okay, so from there, I always encourage my clients to start blogging. And I have a package available if blogging is something that you're interested in and haven't done before. But blogs are really is what is going to keep people coming back to your website. And that's what we want. We want people coming back to our website as much as possible. That way it becomes a resource for them. And so when you blog, that's a way to constantly add new information to them. It's a way to stay in front of them. So you're always at the top of their mind for referrals or even to get repeat business. If you've never done any type of blogging before, some different ideas on topics that you can include would be like home decor, market trends, maybe some local events. I have a client that's out in West Texas, and we read about all the local events that are going on out there. Kind of cut back a little bit because of COVID, but she is, sends all the local events out to her sphere every month of things that are coming up, why they should attend events, and where they would be able to find her at those events if they want to come say hi. You also could do some business reviews or talk about maybe new businesses that are coming to the area. Again, that just showcases that local expertise and reminds people that you are clued into the community and you know what's going on. So again, you're just becoming that constant resource. So when they are ready to enter the market, then you're going to be that first person that they think of because they know that you know what you're talking about. If you're wondering how to get people to read your blogs, the best way to do that is through email marketing. And that's something that I have really started to help my clients with. You have to get clued in with email marketing. That's how you can reach your clients on a regular basis every week. So every time you write a blog, write a short email and redirect your database back over to your website. That is just, so they get used to going there and that you're also just popping in their inbox every week. I know we talked about social media marketing last week, and while that's super important, only a small percentage of your followers are going to see your content every week through social media. You can get in front of a larger audience through email marketing. So just keep that in mind as you are trying to figure out where to show up. Email marketing is definitely a place you want to show up. So how do you start getting found on Google with all of this content? Well, it takes a little bit of research and a little bit of time. So when you get into, doing your website and some content, I don't want you to think this is going to be a quick fix. This is definitely not a quick fix. It takes time, but when you do it the right way and you get the foundation set, it's going to open up, the floodgates. So when you want to start getting found on Google, the first thing you want to do is research your keywords. And a free resource that you can do that is through Google AdWords. I actually learned from a friend of mine yesterday that if you set up a Google, you can go in and set up a free Google AdWords account But if you want to get down to the nitty gritty to know how often each of those search terms are being searched every month, set up a small campaign of $1 a day, and then you can pull full reports. So you don't even throw a lot of money at it. Or you can go the free route and just see what keywords are being used. It just won't give you the number of times it's being searched every month. Once you have narrowed down the keywords, as you're planning out your content, every page needs to have a different keyword that it's ranking for, because you don't want the pages on your websites competing against each other. So when you're figuring out these are the keywords I want to use, then each page on your website has its own keyword. And that way, you know what needs to be in there. And you want to have your keywords in your content a minimum of 2 to 3 times, depending on the length of the content. If you go over 1,000 words, then you're going to be looking at upwards of 4 times in the content. A great way to start showing Google that your pages are supporting each other is to start what I call a link tree. So as you are writing out your content, you're going to want to start linking your pages. So when you are writing the content and you have so for example, it's probably easier to explain this through an example. Let's say you had on your buyer page, you talk about a community over in Plano. So you say, you know, something about when you live in Plano, Texas, blah, 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 blah. Well, you can use that Plano, Texas and link it to your Plano community page. So those pages are linked. But doing those through blogs gets a lot easier because you're going to have a bunch of different topics that you can start linking together, but you want pages within your website to link together. And you just do that by inserting a hyperlink. And then you also are going to want to have a few pages outside of your website linking over. And a great way to do that is to talk with some vendors that you are close with, maybe a home inspector, people in mortgage or title that have their own website, and offer to guest post. So you can link from their page over to your website. So you're going to want to link outside of your website as well. But the more incoming links and you have coming to your website, the more authority you have on Google. And another tidbit that I just learned is Google wants to see that you're going to be around forever. So you're going to want to own your domain, they say, for at least 5 years at a time. And so every year you want to push it out to the next 5. If you can afford to purchase it for longer, great. You also want to make sure that you have what's called an SSL certificate. So Google wants to see those 2 things as well. Okay, let's get into what I know you're all here for. How do you start generating leads from your website? That's what we want, right? We all want more leads. I get it. I'm right there with you. And I know there's going to be one way on your website that you already have set up this way, but one way is not enough. So I'm sure all of you have a option to what's my home worth on your website. That's a great way to generate leads for sellers. But that should not be your only way to get a lead on your website. So a great way to start generating leads is to make sure that your website is optimized with more opt-ins. For example, and again, we briefly talked about this last week, and we're going to go real far in depth next week with our opt-ins, or what I call lead magnets. But as you are setting up your website, have ways that people can get some resources, whether it's a buyer's guide, a seller's guide, how they can increase their home value, how to add curb appeal, just information on how to relocate if they're doing a cross-country move. What are some ways that you can help be a resource to them? So you want people to be able to opt in to get these free resources. I know what's real popular right now is people are doing, like home buying or home selling presentations. So maybe you can put together a pre-recorded presentation for people to opt into. That way, you can do a video series, but you want to make sure that you have more than one way that people can get onto your email list on your website. My website has 2 ways to get onto my email list. You can I have a big drop down that comes on as soon as you get to the site that offers an e-guide. And then I also have a banner across the top for people who want to do a webinar masterclass with me. So take a look at your website. What are some ways that you can start adding some lead magnets for people to opt in to join your list? Again, we're going to go a lot more in depth with that next week. And we'll also talk more next week about lead pages. And lead pages is what I use to create my lead magnets. Or I'm sorry, my opt-in pages. I create my lead magnets, and then I use lead pages to create the landing page for them to opt into it. And so if you want information on lead pages, I can absolutely get that over to you. But what a landing page is just a one-page website where all they can do is capture or get the information. So you'll have it set up to where they can give their name and email. You may include their phone number, ask for their phone number as well. Just realize when you ask for the phone number, if it's a requirement, you may or may not get the right one, but they're always going to give you the right email. So if you have a good follow-up in place, hopefully it'll then convert for you. But if you do not have a way to get people who are landing on your website onto your email list, that is the first thing that you need to do today. So I encourage you to go take a look at your website. What are some ways that you can start adding in some opt-ins on your page to start generating those leads? That way, when all this other content is put together and you start ranking on Google and showing up places and you're sending people back to your site, whether it's from Facebook or Instagram or another social media page, you have a way to collect their information. So today's training only took a little more than 15 minutes, but I hope you're able to get some great information from it. I'm going to be back here next Tuesday at the exact same time, and where we're going to talk a little bit more information about those opt-ins and how to create some great lead magnets, how to create your landing pages that convert to get people to opt in. But I have all this wrapped up in a nice package for you. And don't forget, go ahead and mark it on your calendars. Or if you're not on my email list, then drop your email below so you can get on there. We have my masterclass coming up in just a couple of weeks, and you're on the opportunity to catch it. But we are going to talk about how you can start selling more homes in 2021. So I'm so excited. I am making some updates to this class, and it's just going to be a huge party once it's all ready to go. So thank you all for joining me today. Omisha, thanks for the shout out over on Instagram. I appreciate it. I can't see my comments, unfortunately, on Facebook today because I'm doing it from StreamYard since everything went down last week. But I will see you guys next week. And if y'all have any other questions or you catch the replay, let me know in the comments that you caught it. And if you have questions, I'll be following up with your answers. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.